few weeks ago, I was out for my usual weekend shopping trip looking for new cars when I found Rally Race 200 Cruz at Walmart. I was pretty excited to find her alongside Luigi and Guido, but I thought to myself, hold on, this Cruz is also in a 2-pack with the exclusive Danny, so maybe I should hold off just in case. But, part of me was concerned that I would never find that 2-pack, so I decided to pick up Cruz as a single, and I went to the next store on my trip. The next store on my trip was a Target, where I found a Cruz and Danny 2-pack, so that was a little awkward, and now I've just had these two Rally Race Cruzes for the last several weeks. While I initially considered returning the Cruz single, I decided to keep her since I actually need a duplicate Cruz for the Cars Adventures Multiversal Dash movie, so it ended up working out in my favor. It just is a pretty funny story of a time where, I got pretty lucky that day and just so happened to find the car in the 2-pack right after the single. So I was both lucky and unlucky at the same time. Pretty funny. Anyway, guys, welcome back to another review and to another Race and Rescue diecast review. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Rally Race 200, Cruz Ramirez, and Danny Swervez. So let's get started. As I said in my review of Rally Race McQueen and Chick Hicks's 2-pack, I really love that the Race and Rescue line actually took advantage of 2-packs and included new releases in them. Last year, a huge disappointment for me in the GRC line was the fact that all of its 2-packs just used pre-existing cars that were also out as singles when they could have packed in new releases. Race and Rescue did the exact opposite. All three of the Race and Rescue 2-packs include at least one exclusive item. The McQueen and Chick 2-pack, the McQueen is exclusive. In this pack, Danny is exclusive. And in the Sheriff and Adam Rodriguez 2-pack, both of them are exclusive. Regardless, I, of course, haven't opened up Cruz yet, so this is my first time taking a look at both Cruz and Danny. This isn't a pack I'm particularly all that excited about, but still, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to take a look at these guys. Of course, we have our nice artwork of Cruz and Danny there. Something crazy I just realized before filming was that this is the first time Danny's artwork has ever been used in the diecast line, which is absolutely wild, right? See, Danny Swervez hasn't had his regular diecast out since 2019. An absolute shame for one of the best next gens and really a fan favorite character and one of the racer cameo characters. And in 2019, Danny's only releases were in a couple of multi-packs. He didn't have a single release in 2018, and in 2017, Cars diecast artwork wasn't on the card backs. They just had that generic Cars 3 packaging. So this is the first time Danny has ever had artwork in the diecast line, which is just absolutely crazy. It's so weird, the random firsts in the Race and Rescue line. When I reviewed McQueen and Chick, I talked about how that's the first ever time we've had McQueen and Chick in a 2-pack together. So that's a first from Race and Rescue. Also a first in Race and Rescue. First time Danny's ever had artwork in the diecast line. And honestly, it seems so surreal to have Danny artwork because we've never had it before. Of course, it has been photoshopped to be his Rally Race design. We've got the new for 2025 logo over there. And this nice explosion of kind of fire in the background. Really love this artwork, this packaging style. Of course, we have the names underneath the blister as well as their numbers, 51 and 99. Something interesting we'll talk about in just a couple of minutes. Moving on to the back of the package, we've got McQueen and Chick, who I previously took a look at, and Sheriff and Adam, who I will be reviewing on the channel very, very soon. So let's pop these two out of the package. Quite a bit to say with both of these cars, honestly, especially with Danny, but we are going to start off with Cruz, and well, I am pretty excited to take a look at Danny. Cruz is honestly a car that I really don't care all too much for. What? Ty doesn't like one of the Rally Race cars? Shocking. If you've seen my other reviews of the Rally Race cars, you know I haven't been the biggest fan of the designs in this line, with the exception of Cal and Chick Hicks. I'm just not a big fan of the accent colors. I don't like the usage of dark blue and gray. It just looks really dull in my opinion. And Cruz is, in my opinion, probably one of the lamest in the line. I don't think she looks downright bad like some of the other ones do, but she's just really derivative of GRC Cruz. Yeah, last year we got GRC Cruz, and she was new and different and incredibly interesting with bold, different color choices, especially with an all-black hood. This Cruz, coming out a year later in this year's dedicated mainline expanded universe line, does the exact same thing, fully coloring in the hood, albeit this time in dark blue, but it's such a dark blue, it's very close to the black color used here. This Cruz is so similar to the Cruz we got in the GRC line just last year, which is a shame because GRC Cruz was so different than any Cruz we've gotten before, and for the next Cruz to just be so similar is really underwhelming to me. Quite a few of the rally race cars seem pretty similar to the GRC design-wise, but most of them, like McQueen and even Jackson, who also got both the GRC and rally race variant, are different enough to stand apart. These two are going to be right next to each other on my shelf, and I'm sorry, they honestly look like variants of each other, not different Cruzes for different races. A real shame, in my opinion. We've got the Radiator Springs Rally Race 200 logo there on the hood. Unique expression for Cruz, which is nice. Not the biggest fan of it, but always happy to see that nearly every single race in a rescue car, actually I think every single race in a rescue car has a new expression, which is absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the side, the comparisons to GRC Cruz unfortunately continue. Very similar sides here. We have the number 51, the dinosaur done in the dark blue. While I have said a lot that I don't like dark blue as an accent color on these cars, I think it works nicely for the dinosaur, since the dinosaur is blue, so to see it in a darker shade of blue is pretty cool. But again, it's very similar to the dinosaur being done in black here on GRC Cruz. Dinosaur itself is a bit different. You see more of the body, but still, like, so similar with the dinosaur over here and this little stripe of color at the bottom. They're just so similar, and I just wish it were more different because GRC Cruz was so different, and he could have done something so different with this also. Ugh. You got the number 51 there, Dynaco and 51 in red. Like a lot of these rally race cars, there are just so many colors going on for whatever reason. You have the yellow of Cruz, the dark blue and gray accent colors, and then also the text is in red for some reason. I'd suggest maybe make the text dark blue, but then it would look even closer to GRC Cruz, where the text and hood are both the same color. I don't know, I just feel like something misfired here in the graphic design department with those color choices. Piston Cup Combustor, Synergy, and Carbon Cyber. Rally Race logo there by the dinosaur, number 51, Dynaco writing, and we've got the wheels there, yellow in the front and gray in the back. The card back for Cruz depicts the wheel being a bit more silver, and honestly makes this part look a bit more silver as well. And honestly, the concept of the gray on these cars being silver is something that I wish they'd gone through with instead of this flat gray. If you did silver, I think they definitely would have looked a bit better. That's something I plan on talking about quite a bit more when I take a look at Rally Race Jackson, which I forgot to mention. I found Rally Race Jackson the other day at Target. Now the only race and rescue car I'm missing is red, and color changer is red, so hopefully I find them both soon. Anyway, we got the gray spoiler with the Rally Race writing there. Back looks pretty nice. Does it look the same as GRC Cruz? I don't remember. No, it's far lamer. It's very different at the very least. These are very different. This looks a lot more like a traditional Cruz design. There is a look at the other side, and finally there is a look at the base. And now that Cruz is done, let's take a look at Danny, and we'll get back to Cruz after Danny when I go over my final thoughts on the pack. So Danny here is honestly just really nice to have back, and ooh, he looks very cool. I actually quite like how this turned out. This is easily the rally race item I've seen the least amount of images of online. It's one I honestly kept on forgetting was in the line, but I'm very happy he's here. If you know me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of all the random next-gen variants we get, but I'm always happy to make an exception for Danny, since he is a car that speaks and has the most significant speaking lines out of any of the next-gens in the movie. I typically give him a bit more leeway than the others. You know, when Cam Spinner has 17 million variants, I'm like, okay, that's too much Cam Spinner. When Danny gets a new variant, I'm typically very happy to see it. You know, we get so much of Chase and Ryan. Give Danny some more love, guys, you know? Also, a new Danny means that I can expand the names Danny, Bro, Sketch, and Cars Randomness, so I think that's a part of it as well. And Danny here looks pretty interesting. While, once again, I'm not the biggest fan of the expression. Much like Jeff Gorvette, the more neutral eye expression does not mesh, it clashes with the angry mouth expression here versus the original Danny. He doesn't look determined, he just looks a little bit confused. Still, I do think it looks pretty good. Another thing I really like here is the color. It's a much deeper purple than the original Danny, and it's just a more sort of purple than the original Danny. For those of you who remember, the original Danny was released blue, and then swapped out for a purple release. And honestly, I don't know, this kind of reminds me of like the Danny prototype. I really, really love the purple here. I do wish, though, that it were shiny like the regular Danny diecast was. I wish it had that sort of shiny sparkle to it. And I especially wish that the Octane Gain foil part here were a gold foil like it was on the original diecast. Instead, it's done in a flat gold instead of a metallic one. I really wish they did a foil design here, because I think that would really make it pop quite a bit more. Interestingly, on the subject of colors popping, this Danny is severely lacking in the gray and light blue that most of the other rally race cars have. He just mainly keeps Danny's original color scheme, but a bit altered. Slightly different gold color, slightly different purple color, and then just a little bit of that navy blue and a little bit of gray on the logo. I'm a little surprised to see him be so similar to the original, and honestly, I think it makes him kind of not fit in with the rest of the group super well, but I don't know, part of me wishes that all of them looked like this, just slightly different versions of their pre-existing colors with those logos instead of putting gray and blue on them when it typically doesn't really fit. I don't know, he doesn't really mesh with the others, but I quite like this design because he doesn't have the colors that I don't like on most of the other cars. But what's really weird about this Danny is the usage of the number 99. A number that's only previously been used on Danny's NASCAR release. He also has the sort of window grates that his NASCAR design has. And the darker purple honestly kind of reminds me of the NASCAR release as well, though it is not the same shade. So what's going on here? Why is Danny using the number 99 instead of the 19 from the movie? Well, Danny's number was changed in the NASCAR line to reflect the current number of his real-world racer, Daniel Swervez, who changed his number from 19 to 99 a couple of years back. Despite the fact that the NASCAR line changed racers' numbers to match their new numbers in NASCAR at the time, other Cars diecasts for them coming out and other expanded universe lines like the Glow Racers continue to use their Cars 3 numbers, which I think makes perfect sense. At the end of the day, the NASCAR line is a crossover toy line, so, you know, whether or not it's canon or sort of valid with the rest of the Cars universe is up in the air, right? It's the NASCAR Cars crossover. They're doing their own separate thing over there. Giving the racers other numbers there to reflect the current numbers of their real racers makes perfect sense, but the rest of the variants continue to use their numbers from the movie. That was the case up until this Danny came out, who for whatever reason is using the 99 from NASCAR. Again, I thought originally it was just an error, right, since NASCAR Danny also does that, but then I started thinking a bit more, and I was talking to some people over on my Discord server a few months back, and we were all talking about Danny, and I was talking with people who know a bit more about real-world racing than I do, since I don't follow it. But we started to piece together a bit of a fan theory, a bit of a conspiracy theory. You see, the thing is, Danny Swervez's diecast has not been out since 2019, and apparently, according to the people I was talking to, it was around this time that Daniel Suarez changed his number in real life. And since 2019, since he had that number switch in real life, and I think he also switched racing teams, or I think he switched companies, something like that, we haven't gotten regular Danny. We haven't gotten any Dannys, in fact, other than the NASCAR one, which released in 2021, and then got a new variant late last year. Danny has not received a regular diecast since 2019. He has not received a diecast with the number 19 since before his racer switched companies or teams or whatever it was. And that's made me honestly wonder if maybe Mattel or Disney or whoever lost the rights to using Danny's 19, and that's why the Rally Race diecast uses the number 99 instead. I don't know how true it is or how much backing it has. Again, it was just me and some other Cars fans doing a bit of spitballing and thinking, but it is pretty interesting to think about and consider when you look at the pattern of Danny diecasts, or the lack thereof, over the last few years. Also, in the book, Danny still has the number 19, although the book isn't even using the diecast design, it's using the movie design. So, yeah, I wonder if maybe Mattel lost the rights to his previous number, and that's why this one has 99, or maybe it's simply a mistake. I'm not sure, but I do think it's just some interesting food for thought. He's got a gray front wheel incorporating that gray color that is missing on the rest of him for the most part, other than on the logo, and a gold back wheel. The other logos there with piston cup combustor, carbon fiber, and Synergy. Interestingly, his number's completely missing from the side. Also missing from the side is the O in the Octane Gain logo. Instead, we have the Rally Race logo there instead, which, I don't know, I guess kind of looks like an O, maybe. Was that their intention? That this is the O and that's the G? I don't know. We also have the OG Plus over there for Octane Gain Plus. Just like with the original Danny, those OGs are also written in the gold there. Rally Race on the back there, 99 up there. Again, that is the only place you see his number on the entire diecast, almost like they're trying to hide his number. You also see it back there. Rally Race 200, and over there, there's a look to the other side, which, once again, yeah, doesn't include the O and just has the G. So, sorry guys, no Octane Gain. It's just Gain now. And finally, there is a look at the base. Danny is honestly a pretty nice diecast. Well, I don't think he really matches with the rest of the Rally Race cars. I think he does stand out. It's just a really nice and well-designed Danny, especially with that coloring. Cruz is kind of in an awkward position where she's so similar to GRC Cruz that I'm quite a bit disappointed with how she turned out. But altogether, I think they make a pretty decent two-pack if you want to add some more Rally Racers to your collection. If you want another Danny, or you don't have a Danny, I'd highly recommend this two-pack for him. Other than that, I don't know. I'd honestly take or leave Cruz. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think about my theory with Danny, and definitely correct me over my racing knowledge in the comments. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.